What's going on, guys? Your friendly neighborhood fanboys are back with another podcast. Today we have a ton of stuff to talk about, including Penguin Episode 5. We got a bunch of James Gunn kind of updates, more so, from New York Comic-Con, which is cool, including lanterns, which I'm fired up about.
Lanterns?
Yep. Lanterns.
Pretty
And
sure the official trailer of the Commandos was released as well.
True.
Yes.
Yep. And Dune Prophecy, another trailer as well on HBO.
HBO killing it.
There was a little leaky poo of Daredevil.
Oh,
Yes, there was a
yes.
leaked trailer of Daredevil.
Yep.
I
Truth
don't know
Angel
if we're like allowed
himself.
to talk about it because it's not
I'm
officially
still
out, but
going
I'm
to.
going to talk about it.
Perfect.
I mean, like, if anything were to be relevant talking about, it would be an official leak trailer.
Yeah.
Truth Angel alive for the first time.
Truth Angel. There was also
dead for the
randomly there was also a skew leaked of what apparently is the next Switch.
The skewer.
Switch 2, the skewer.
Oh, Switchy too.
Not much different. Surprise, surprise from Nintendo.
What?
But we'll get into
Honestly,
that.
if it ain't broke, don't
fix
it.
it. Just make
Arguably
it
one of the
bigger.
greatest
Does it
consoles
support
I've
anything
ever
above 480p though, or no?
No, I think it's
Well,
one.
actually, the current Switch is 720p. Which,
What?
Can you imagine they announce it and like we're joking, then they're like, now supporting 144p. You're like, oh nice, it's a Game Boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
literally.
Tamagotchi had.
All right. Two of us haven't seen the Penguin episode 5, but we're gonna talk about it anyway.
Well,
so
goddamn,
fuck
bro.
you.
You're like blowing up the spot already.
Sorry, man.
I am one episode behind, as is Dan. However, if I can just give some general thoughts on the show,
Sure.
it's honestly one of I think the best like superhero shows I think I've seen. You know what?
One of the best HBO shows, I would say.
This is
in
what I'm
general.
gonna say, and this is gonna be
One
a,
of.
It's
Relax.
top 5. Top 5.
yeah. I would say like the Penguin, Silicon Valley, Game of Thrones, like Game of Thrones. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't care.
Teletubbies.
But here, this is what I'm gonna say. Are you ready for this?
What?
I'm gonna say this, and then this is gonna go viral online on TikTok, and it's gonna be on the this quote that I'm about to say right now is gonna be on the box cover when they do the Blu-ray collection. The Penguin, HBO's The Penguin, is the Smallville of our generation.
Oh,
But
I like
the
that.
only
Totally
the
different
only
show.
critique,
Are you saying out of popularity or like out of?
artistic merit.
Right up there. It's right up there with.
You look so artistic, man.
It's right up there with Fritz Lang's M.
Bicycle
Oh,
thieves. That's one of my
It always
favorites.
gets me. I don't know, like bicycle thieves.
the only criticism that I do have on the Penguin
There's
is
not
that
enough penguins
there's
in
no Ben Affleck in it.
No, there are no
there's no-
actual penguins.
I was really hoping for March of the Penguins
of the
Part 2.
Penguins.
Yeah.
March of the Penguins TV show.
literally
Half of it showed at the New York
Happy
Zoo.
Feet 4.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
To
we're
the
on-
New York Zoo.
This is
The
gonna be a good
Penguin.
one. We're on one today.
All hail the New
The
York Giants.
Uh,
Okay. Anyways,
I'll pass it off to you so you can
Okay.
get the actual
the
preamble.
Passover.
Passed
meal.
away.
All right, so get ready for some spoileritios.
That's fine.
Okay, so a lot happens in this episode.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
like
one
actually,
that I
like
missed.
actually,
Actually,
though.
though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do I even start?
Well,
Yeah, where's it?
Well, it
Like-
leaves off with the last episode that I saw.
basically,
let's
yeah.
start
there. We didn't
So
even talk about
the
the last
Falco.
Sophia,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, Sophia kills her whole family,
Mm-hmm.
for the exception of Johnny Vitti in a gas
Nice.
leak in the house.
And her alibi is literally the daughter
Alibi
because she was
Dumbledore.
having a sleepover outside,
Yep.
and there was a gas leak. That's obviously as we saw.
She's turning like a Gears of War 1 giant valve in the basement. If anyone gets that reference.
Valvetronic.
Yes. Oh, and then
Valve Game Studios.
best cameo ever. The police.
Oh my god, you're gonna love this. Well, so, do you want us to say it or not?
Is it?
This guy bothered you.
It's him. No, it's not him.
It is.
Sophia, what are you doing?
But I'll tell you what, no offense to this actor. No offense to this
It's actually
actor.
him. It's actually him.
That's
but
our favorite
he-
character from the Batman for no reason.
He has
Sophia,
a
what happened to your family?
he has a
going
little
on here,
he has a little
Sophia?
too many lines.
Get it?
It starts off with your favorite of the cameos, which is I think the police chief.
He's the commissioner.
No,
isn't he?
he's the chief.
Gordon's
chief.
not commissioner yet.
He's
is
not, but
He's the Master Chief.
Says the
of
master.
Gotham
Yeah, he's the
Police.
Master Chief. John 117 himself shows up.
Cortana, we need to get to the
But
next
actually, though,
location.
he has a very lengthy.
Finish the fight.
He has a very lengthy conversation with Sophia about the murder. She's questioning her, and it kind of comes off as like very corrupt, to be honest. Like he's kind of like egging her on, and she's like, "Are you not going to show me any respect? Like my whole family just died." Obviously, we know that she killed him, but like he's just leaning into it, like.
He's basically like, I'm kind of glad they're dead because
It's kind of like low-key. You're like, oh shit, like okay, you're really seeing the corrupt nature of the Gotham PD here, which is kind of hilarious. It's almost like they're their own kind of family in the city because they're clearly corrupt and going against everything that's happening in the city as well.
We saw Kenzie in the last episode too, which was cool. Kenzie,
Yes.
who's the guy with that with the broken nose in Batman, so that was cool.
Then they go to prison to see.
Yes.
When's Martinez showing up?
Yeah, with the rug tucker. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, my uncle was one of those. Convenient.
Pretty sure Dougie knows her.
You know, what's funny about that is because of the way it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they go to prison. Well, no, Penguin goes to prison.
Sorry, yes, Penguin goes to visit.
Was Sirius Black there?
Oh my God, what's his name?
Oh my
We-
God, we're
we
on one
can't get-
today.
The
I'm
Azkaban.
sorry.
We're gonna have a hard time staying on topic. Fair warning,
It's
anyone
gonna be a
listening.
6-hour
Okay, so
podcast.
this is messed up. Let's actually go through this right
Okay,
now.
yeah.
So you ready for spoiler town? Okay, Penguin goes to visit Maroni in prison. Actually, before he does that, right? Isn't there something before
I forget
with
if
the
there
sun?
is.
Did you guys
Does
watch
that happen
it?
before or after?
Oh yes.
No, because a lot
No, you're right.
happens.
You're right.
Okay, so
Yes.
I'm kidding.
They're meeting at the like escort's house there, like Penguin's
yes,
escort.
Penguin's
His
like
alibi,
or whatever, and basically he thinks of a way to get back at the Maronis and basically like eliminate their entire family. So
Sorry, I messed up.
I
It's the
just
car.
remembered.
It's the car.
it's the car.
Yeah.
Okay, Penguin lights his car on fire. We're backing up here a little
Yeah.
bit.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Get-
because a
gets rid
couple
of the
episodes
evidence.
prior,
Yeah.
Vic uses it to
Exactly. He wrangles up the remainder of, I don't know if it's the remainder of the Maronis or the Falcones that trust Penguin. So, like, that's his kind of crew. Then he goes to visit Sal in prison first. And he basically says, like fuck you or whatever. Like, let's work together, blah, blah, blah. Maroni does whatever. He pays off a guard to stab Maroni as he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? In the meantime, they're like, we're going to track their shithead fucking son, which is like this literal TikToker. And like they find him on TikTok in a tattoo parlor. So Penguin's
He's
like,
live.
yeah, let's run up on him. And then there's like a sick scene where like the kid is like laying forward on like a tattoo bench and he's like banging the beats. And behind, out of focus, you see Penguin and the Goon Squad come in and kill everybody in the tattoo parlor. Then he turns around, everyone's dead. And he's like, whoa. So they capture him. And then they use him as leverage because the Maronis still have Penguin's mushroom stash from the last episode.
okay.
And then what happens in between there? I'm trying to even think. Like Vic is
Going to protect Penguin's mom.
yeah.
So she's having an episode for sure.
Yeah.
And he basically takes her to this, I guess, like shitty part of town to like
It's-
kind of
it's the-
hide out.
Yeah, it's the part of town where like Vic's from, like gets washed out by the floods.
Mm-hmm. And then Sophia at this point, I don't even know if we cut back to her, but we'll get to her. I think all the Maroni stuff happens, then it cuts to Sophia's little.
For the most part, I would
Yeah.
say so.
Or
This is
even
all
if-
out of order. and
even if
we're-
it doesn't, this is what fucking happened in the
yeah,
episode.
even if it's not in the right order, you
Yeah.
know. Anyway, so the biggest part of this episode, which is horrifying, is they go to make the exchange. So basically, Penguin confronts Sal again in prison, or they capture his son first. Anyway,
Yeah.
what happens is they meet up finally to exchange the drugs for the son. The son comes out of Penguin's car all wet, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, was that from like torture or something or what? And he sends him to his mother, and basically like she didn't come alone as promised, and like all the thugs start shooting at her and stuff, and like they get in a gunfight. But then Penguin lights his lighter.
It's gasoline.
It's gasoline. So he torches the ground, and the fire leads up, and it burns both the wife and the son.
Because she was hugging him like, oh, thank
Yeah.
God you got back. And you see all of it. They don't
Yeah, no, like
cut
it doesn't
away.
cut away
It's
at all.
like,
It's horrifying.
yeah.
It's gnarly.
So
Yeah.
lights them up. But meanwhile, Sal's in prison. You see him get stabbed, but it turns out that he barely survives it, but he kills the guard that is sent to kill him, even though he got stabbed, and then escapes prison because of that.
So then he's at this like hideout.
But before this is Sophia stuff.
Okay, well, why don't we just wrap that up since
Sure.
we're all over the place anyway? So he's he's at this hideout and fucking calls Penguin, and Penguin's like driving away with the shrooms. But remember in the other episode, they have to be kept at a certain temperature. So basically, like all the mushrooms except for 2 buckets like perish. So Penguin's like, fuck, like he's like so pissed or whatever, and then he gets a call from Maroney, and he's like, oh, I'm fucking coming for you, like you're cooked. And Penguin's like, speaking of cooked, why don't you go call your wife? Like literally, just
like shit.
savage
Yeah.
as fuck. So then it cuts to
Then
Sophia's-
Sophia, and
yeah.
she basically wrangles together like the remainder of like the goons from the Falcones, and
she's torturing Buddy.
she's torturing what's his face, Vidi. She's
Yeah.
torturing Vidi in the mausoleum of the Falcone family.
And it's
and-
like freezing down
Yeah.
there, so he's like,
Tortures him, and
Yeah.
then basically he ends up revealing that like he's the one that introduced her mother to Carmine in the beginning, and that like he basically like showing pity, like, oh, your mother was beautiful and blah blah blah, and like whatever.
I was
So-
trying to help her, like because I couldn't help her, let me try and help you.
Yep.
So she's like,
So she
Alright.
kind of accepts, and he becomes like her right hand kind of thing.
Okay.
At least in the meeting. So they have this meeting, all the goons, and she's basically like, from this point forward, like, fuck my family's name. Like, the Falcones die here tonight. Like, I am Sophia Gigante. And like, this is what we're gonna go by now. And Vidi is kind of like repulsed by it, and he's like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, just relax a little bit, like we don't have to go that far, blah blah blah. And as he's talking, she pulls out a Glock and blows his head, kills him in front of the whole table. And she's basically like, I'll actually support you and like pay you what you deserve, to like all the thugs around her. And then she dumps this like pile of Carmine's like old like blood money on the table, and it's literally blood money because it goes in the pool of Vidi's blood.
and all the guys start like fighting over, not fighting over it, but they're
They
all
all
trying to
start
grab as
reaching
much
for it and
money as
stuff.
possible. It's like,
So that was fucked. And then she reaches out to, I don't know how she finds out that he's out, but she reaches out to Maroney,
well, she doesn't reach out. She just shows
She
up
just
at the
shows up,
hideout,
yeah.
kills all the guards, and then walks in.
and walks in and is like, she's like, oh, like, why would I work with a Falcone? She's like, I'm not a Falcone anymore. Like, we can bind together, kill Oz, and like take the city over, kind of thing. So that wraps that up. And then in the meantime, Penguin goes to see like his mom and Vic at that safe house. And basically, like, the mom doesn't want to talk to him. He's like, how could you abandon me and all this stuff? And he's like, well, fuck, whatever. And then he's like talking to Vic, and he gets an idea because he sees like this old tram car token in like this bottle of change that he had. And he's like, Vic, I want to show you something. So like they're like undoing boards and stuff. This looks like basically an abandoned like subway tunnel. And like turns out there's a tunnel system under Gotham. So like,
Oh, that's probably what the Batman uses for, because his
well,
is
he
like an
uses the
abandoned
subway tunnels. He's
Yeah.
the old subway state, but these are
Yeah.
like another tunnel system, like with tram car lines. So 2 things here I'll get to in a minute. I have speculation on it. There's one cool thing they set up. So Penguin's base is basically like comic like sewer base now.
Yeah.
So like they find like where the tram car is and stuff. It's like kind of like weighted in shallow water. There's like old timey lights. Like the tram car looks like old timey. And I was like, this is like Batman Returns type kind of vibes here.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
sick.
And then he's looking around and he's like, you know what thrives in darkness? And Vic's like, the mushrooms. So like that's gonna be their like Penguin style base. But then tunnel system under Gotham to me is Court of Owls.
Yes,
through
I
and
was
through.
just about to say that. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Because then that opens the door for the sequels to do
Yep.
Court of Owls.
Which is wild. And that's pretty much where it
Oh, God,
ends.
if
That's-
only-
yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Sorry for that incredibly confusing explanation,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, literally.
But it was unreal. It was just so good that I was just trying to piece together
Yeah.
every cool thing.
We
that
were
happened.
shocked.
There were a lot. So
Yeah. We're just like they. So it's funny that you brought up Game of Thrones because I literally said during the watching of it, I was like, dude, they're going full Game of Thrones HBO right now. Like nobody's safe.
no,
But they're just killing
nobody.
people off left, right, and center. I'm
Right.
like,
Because they make a point, especially with the Vidi thing. Like they made a point to show him like getting tortured. He's like, I have nothing left to live for anyway. Just do it already. And then like they kind of connect over that, and you're like, okay, like he's gonna be her new #1, and then like he just gets blown away and then in the office, and we're like,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
And randomly that like therapist guy is also joining her. He like comes to her and says like, oh, like I knew it was you that killed your family. Like I knew you needed that release. Now I need that release. Like let me work for you. So like now he's in the fray, which is hilarious because he played Shades in the Luke Cage series on Netflix.
Yeah.
And was also a mobster.
Typecast.
Yep. And yeah,
Wow.
it was wild.
That's crazy.
The sewer. As soon as I saw him go down that dark tunnel, I'm like, they're doing this right now.
As soon as you described it, I was like, "Oh, like Court of Owls."
Yeah,
like
it's
like
the first thought that ran through my head. I'm like, are
old
they gonna come down
Gotham,
here?
like-
There's gonna be like people down there and shit already. I was gonna puke.
That's
there
interesting.
wasn't. But
it can almost be a little bit of a reach to speculate that, but at the same time, again, you're kind of opening it for like.
I hope it's not League of Shadows though, because League of Shadows is also sewers underground.
I don't think
Lazarus.
they'll do
that. Yeah.
I hope it's not that.
I
would hope
that's a
it's Court of Owls.
little too like
Comic booky?
sci-fi
Yeah.
for this universe.
Yeah.
I would
Right.
say
I hope they don't do that.
no.
But having the context of the first 4 episodes, I can totally envision like the feeling and the vibe of what you're saying, and it leaves room for Penguin to kind of like come back and really establish himself as like an actual criminal force in Gotham to basically not to say it sound like weird, but like to earn his like place in like Batman's rogues gallery. You know what I mean? Like
For those who are watching and don't know the Court of Owls, what's like a 30-second to a minute explanation? If you can do that.
I would say a very old, like as old as Gotham's inception, kind of like Illuminati
yeah.
Okay.
of like
The most powerful people, kind
political, most powerful people that include the Waynes.
Yeah, include the Waynes.
That kind of operate behind the scenes and kind of pull grander strings.
So that
than
could tie in,
surface
especially with the
level.
whole thing within the Batman movie,
Yeah.
because the Waynes were technically not the greatest.
Yeah, like you find out
people.
through that thing, like the conversation with Alfred on the bed, that like, no, you're like your father was a good man. Like, don't believe everything you hear, kind of thing. But it would be cool to dive deeper in that.
Yeah.
Because Martha in this universe is an Arkham, which is interesting, which is kind of like a Telltale vibe.
Yeah.
They probably pulled that from a book. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, they could go a bunch of different directions with that if that's the route they go with.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be winter. I know we talked about this last time. I want to see
Yeah.
Freeze still.
Yes.
And if anybody is interested in actually reading that series, which I would recommend you do, because it's not like a long series, but it's one of the most important, like I would say, like new age like Batman stories that we have. I would say like post like 2000 kind of thing. You can actually go. DC has been actually reprinting in like bookstores, comic book stores, all that kind of stuff. They've been reprinting a couple of books in like a smaller, like size format that's a little bit cheaper. So like their Court of Owls is one of them. You can also get like Watchmen. They can get like a Wonder Woman book, like that kind of thing. So if anyone's interested in actually going and reading the Court of Owls, it's fantastic. Like some of the best like Batman stuff to come out like recently, right?
Yeah,
I've been wanting to read that one. That one's on my list. I actually haven't read that one.
It's
yet,
good.
so.
You totally should.
No,
It's
I know
it's
I want
a
to.
great story.
Especially if
It's
like
a
that's
great
the
concept,
direction,
too.
If that's the direction they're leaning into, like I definitely want to read that.
Yeah.
If anyone has played the Telltale games too, they're fantastic. First of all, but second of all, they pull a lot from that storyline.
Yeah.
So
as soon as you said like the tunnels, because like the Court of Owls kind of exists in like because like there's like an old, kind of like almost like New York. There's like a New York that built on top of another one or an old one. Same kind of thing with Gotham. So like the old part of Gotham that's like underneath is like,
that
Court of
too,
Owls.
just like in the visual style of the Batman is just, it has so much potential for a really cool like gothic
100%.
style. Like,
it also gives Penguin. I hope they carry through with this. I hope it's not like Sophia finds his lair and 2 episodes and like kiboshes it, but like I hope that they stick with it and that becomes his way of getting around so quickly with like the tram line under there and stuff too. So like he literally has like such a hold and control on everything going on, because he can be somewhere 1 minute and then like 5 minutes later he's across the city and people are like, whoa, like what's going on?
One thing I will say though that like I thought would be a bigger deal in the aftermath of the Batman, and we haven't really seen it other than like that one flashback for Vic's family getting washed away, but like we haven't really seen the city like in shambles and like a power struggle with like the flooding and stuff. Like I imagined at the end of the Batman it would literally be like Gotham was like floating. You know what I mean? Like just streets were completely submerged and like it was going to be like a huge vacuum, and,
Yeah.
like which it is, but it's still like it's more like a very contained power struggle.
The power vacuum kind of comes from the death of Carmine Falcone.
Right, but it's not
Which
so
is
much just
interesting.
like I kind of
Yeah, I
imagined
know what
like
you
an Arkham Knight kind of situation where like it's like citywide evacuation chaos, like criminals running around in the broad daylight, but right now it's just kind of like people are just living like normally, which is like I like whatever, maybe that's still coming, but that's one thing I kind of like I noticed. I'm like, I was really expecting a huge like fallout from
I think
this.
they allude to the fact that the floodwaters are receding now or something as efforts are going on to like clean the city up, and like that area of town where Crown Point, I think, is the one that was like hit hardest because it was on the outskirts where like the flood walls were. So I don't think it's like.
Which I also think realistically, you're gonna have different areas of the city that are thriving in different, on different like levels.
Well,
So maybe they'll explore that more in the actual Batman
they allude to
movie,
it too, like in I think like the first episode or something. Like they're like the richer part of town or like the innermost part is newer, and it's like they're unaffected by it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. Any other thoughts on that episode?
I enjoy the direction it's going. Truly, I think we've gone through a little spell of interesting shows coming out that have taken some risks and haven't exactly came through. So I think having something like this where I wouldn't say they're taking the right risks, but they're going for it in a way where it's like, here's a dark, gritty show, and they did that. They did what they said they were going to do.
Yeah.
Or at least the story has been 5 solid, focused episodes.
Yes.
With
executed well.
any kind of divergence story-wise or diving into a side character, the character is like already established. They mean something.
And
and
like it pays off.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
like
it's going to pay off. It seems like it's going to pay off.
I think it was was it episode 4? Was like Vic's kind of like diving into his like history.
3.
3, 4. No, 3. Yeah, sorry. Like that kind of thing was like a little bit of a divergence, but it still had relevance to what was going on in the main story, right?
Yeah.
So it's just nice to have actual focused television.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a good narrative.
And it's like it's actually making me excited for what this universe has to offer, right? Like it's dropping and planting seeds that are paying off in each episode, but also like lead to bigger implications. And I'm fully confident that they're going to explore those implications in future material. Like with other stuff in the past, it's like, oh, here's a cameo that means nothing, or here's a little Easter egg that's just your pure fan service. But this is like it's very meaningful and thoughtful with every idea that they plant. They pay off in the episode, and
they're intentionally building the world up.
Exactly, right? And I think that's how you actually, that's called world building. That's story writing, and I'm really excited to see where the universe goes.
I think the fact that we can all sit here and speculate on how this show is going to affect the next couple of movies is like pretty impressive.
Okay, New York City Comic-Con.
Oh,
we got James Gunn released another Creature Commandos trailer. He talked about it with a panel of most of the voice actors, which included some little tidbits about Superman, as well as Green Lantern. Got a little bit there. So basically, what he said, for those of you who haven't seen it, is I'll touch on everything that's not Creature Commandos first, because that's what I'm most interested in personally. Superman. Someone brought up Crypto, which we got the first kind of image of. That was kind of was a shock, but not really a shock, because there was
rumors floating around.
And then like someone on set brought their dog and they threw a Superman cape on it, so everyone like went nuts, and he was like, "Hey, relax, like that's not
that's not Crypto. This is."
And he said on the panel that he originally wasn't in the script, but then I think he like adopted a dog and like in real life, and like that kind of gave him the idea for it, and then he wrote him in. And he says it's working well in the edit, according to him. And then he also said that, quote unquote, David Cornsweet is gonna blow you the fuck away with his performance. And he says that like people don't, I'm paraphrasing now obviously, but like people don't understand the depth and like the star power this guy has, and like dramatic performance, comedic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that kind of fired me up, because I'm like, at bare minimum, past everything else that you might be cautious about, like I want good performances. Like I want a good story. Like even if I'm not thrilled with the aesthetic they're going for, like I just want it to be good.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. And obviously they're going way more sci-fi in the DCU now, which I'm here for because
fires me right up.
We've got super grounded, not super grounded, but like a more grounded dark tone before, and now it's going like full sci-fi. We have the opportunity to go to like space and stuff. He also talked about Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. He literally confirmed on stage that it is an adaptation of Tom King's book.
Yeah.
Like straight up. He's like all the same characters are there. He's like, I just saw the screen test with Millie and Ruthie, the character from the book. So like that's literally going to be the storyline.
That's firing me up a lot.
Yeah, fires me up too. That's literally a space adventure, which is cool.
You guys got to read the book, bro. Oh my god. It's so good.
And what else did he touch on? He touched on Green Lantern. He's like, it sounds weird me saying this, but the Green Lantern show is a very grounded in like kind of like street level take, but it makes sense because it's going for like Hal Jordan mentoring Jon Stewart,
who we got the official casting for not too long ago.
Yeah, and so it's like a True Detective vibe, which is like a very like well revered HBO show, which is like unreal. So it's gonna be like a dark, gritty kind of cop drama with like that infused, which is like sick. And I think honestly, it's a great move because they want to distance themselves as much as possible from Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern and like that kind of culture shock that brought forth with it. So they want to kind of reel them back in and be like, no, Green Lanterns are cool. Like this is what they can be, and like this is what we're going to give you.
They are.
With an asterisk there because he's throwing Guy Gardner in a leather jacket in Superman, so hopefully that doesn't immediately tarnish what Green Lanterns are going to be in this universe. But he did. There was a lot to unpack here. He did also reiterate what he said in his initial announcement 2 years ago of like, yes, everything's under the DCU umbrella, but I'm purposely not putting restrictions on like tones and stuff of what individual directors want to do. So like Green Lantern or Lanterns, for example, is going to be like much darker, like street level, like crime drama and stuff like that. Whereas Supergirl is going to be kind of like a space drama, and he's like, Supergirl's messed up. Like he said that straight up. So it's literally going to be an adaptation of that. Superman's probably the lighter, Boy Scoutier tone to it, which is fine.
And you have the Reeves universe existing on the side.
And its own
thing.
And then we're going to have the Batman and Son and all that kind of stuff, which, you know.
It's like, obviously, it's easy to compare to the MCU because MCU, DCU, but I think it can be done right in that sense. I'm sure he'll probably have the overall vision of where all these stories are going to go,
for sure,
which I hope, because we saw what happens when that doesn't happen. But I actually think that's wonderful that they're different tones because it's going to be like the Guardians is like the fun one, and then go.
But you don't want like every single movie to be the same product reskinned, right? Like you want it to be a unique thing, and I think that's absolutely the right way to do it because that's the problem with Marvel now. It's just become the same movie,
and they're finally like cracking out of that too with putting like Daredevil officially just got TVMA like it was on Netflix. For the new, I'm just gonna call it a new season of it because now they've rewritten everything and it's literally a continuation. But so now they're only just starting to do that after like literally a decade plus of doing basically formulaic stuff within reason.
And it's going to take a couple of years for them to kind of catch up because DC now this time around kind of has a leg up in that
because
way.
They already went through their shit time.
They already went through it, but it's like if you look at, so Deadpool and Wolverine was kind of like its first kind of like, I would say like transition over to like this new model that you're speaking to. But I mean, if you look at DC, it's like the universe is already like there are several projects that are in the works that are going to be coming out continuously that are on that. Everything is kind of sharing in the same vision, right?
Yeah.
So
totally.
Yeah. He also commented on the kind of like sharing characters within movies. So like Rick Flag Sr.'s in Creature Commandos playing the same guy who is confirmed to be in Superman now. So he was like, he's like, obviously, I think Josh Horowitz from MTV was the like panel host. And he was like, so like, are any of these people on the panel going to be seen in live action? And then he said, he's like, like there's a few, and you're actually going to see one in something coming up very soon. And everyone looked at Alan Tudyk. So immediately I thought Alan Tudyk, Brainiac, because like he just has that. He's always known to portray like
True.
like droids and stuff, like
Yeah.
robotic, like very like
Yeah.
weird kind of ethereal type
You think
characters.
he's gonna be the main bad of?
I think
of
maybe
Superman?
because we don't know who the main antagonist is. We know Maxwell Lord is in there, like kind of controlling his own little legion of superheroes. There's like Hawk Girl and Guy Gardner and all them, but like we don't know who the overall antagonist is going to be.
I mean, you get that kind of vibe if you really dig deep into it, like that first concept shot that he released of Superman
all
with
the
the background with all the
purple
purple and
Yeah,
blue
the
in
purple,
sky.
like, yeah, exactly.
you could really,
or
hyperanalyze
or the Monitor, maybe like someone,
Yeah.
someone. I think otherworldly is what it's going to be, in my opinion.
Tell you what, I wouldn't be
Lex
mad.
is
I
in there,
wouldn't be mad
obviously,
with
but yeah.
Yeah, literally.
I think Lex is going to be like a kind of not Thanos level in terms of like power, but like in terms of like pulling the strings.
yeah, like manipulation.
Yeah.
But I think he'll probably take the more like ally side of Superman in this one. If it's a threat as big as Brainiac, like I don't think he'll be like the big overarching bad. Like he'll be like a reluctant ally of Superman in this. If that's the way.
Yeah,
they
that's what I
go.
mean.
Yeah.
Like pulling strings, like not
Yeah.
front and center, but
I want to see a
doing
live
something.
action Lex Luthor power armor.
that'd be cool.
That'd be
I mean,
sick.
if it's any universe to do it, it'll be this one.
Literally. Because then you
Um,
have the rings already introduced. There was one Action Comics run that Superman, it was like he was written on like a hiatus for, and it was basically Lex Luthor in like his like power armor that like kept like getting like collecting the lantern rings.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's
Thanos.
so something like that. Yeah,
Yeah. So that whole panel kind of fired me up, especially the GL stuff. And that's the other thing. So Kyle Chandler, who's playing older Hal Jordan, and Aaron Pierre, who's playing Jon Stewart, apparently had a table read together, and he was like, I'm paraphrasing heavily, obviously, but he was basically just like, he's like, I didn't even care what they were reading. Like everything the fuck they said was just magic together.
That's
and
it.
like
And
that fired
that's
me up.
That's
That's
exactly what you need if you're
Exactly.
going to do like a True Detective kind
Yeah.
of thing.
And I had no idea who Aaron Pierre was before hearing this announcement, but I went and watched, oh my God, something Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Whatever his new movie is on Netflix, I forget the title off the top of my head, but I
Vinny
went and
Ridge.
watched it, and like he's a phenomenal actor, and he's a physical presence on screen too,
yeah.
and he looks identical to my favorite version of Green Lantern, which is the Justice League animated series Green Lantern.
Also my favorite version, just to put
Yeah.
that out there. for the record.
If anyone doesn't know who Jon Stewart Green Lantern is, he's my favorite personally, and he's an ex-Marine basically, so he's very like tactile in the way he uses his ring, whereas like a younger Hal Jordan was always just like very like showboaty and like making like stupid constructs with his ring,
Yeah.
and whatever, which
And
like
then he
I'm
got-
not entirely like huge on, so I like the more like, you know, Jon Stewart uses it like as a beam, like,
Yeah.
like a gun basically, and like is very tactical about stuff, and it's like unreal, and I love it.
If nothing else, because you hear about all these kind of like hype things at these press events all the time, but if nothing else, James Gunn is saying the right things to get people excited, and because all the time it's like, oh, it's the best movie ever, you're gonna love it, we can't wait to show audiences. He's not saying that.
Yeah.
He's saying things like, oh, the two actors have phenomenal chemistry, or you're gonna be blown away by this person's performance. Like he's not making it about the spectacle and about the movie. He's making it about these actors and the
Yeah.
characters and
Oh,
what
the stuff
they
that
bring.
drives a good movie.
Yeah,
What?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
wild.
so he's saying
What a
all the
great
right
change
things.
of
It could
pace.
just be he could just be blowing smoke up our
concept.
asses. But you
Yeah.
know, like I think like if he's that confident in the actors, then you know,
Mhm.
it could be something special.
Yeah.
But you know, it's all
Yeah.
Good.
speculation.
I'm excited to see it unfold.
Yeah.
Especially the Supergirl stuff is kind of fires me
The
up a little bit, too.
Supergirl stuff is what fires me up the most. And
Yeah.
I know I sound like a broke record. You guys got to read that book, because if you read that book, you're gonna understand why I've been so hyped up
Mhm.
on the Supergirl stuff for so long. It's gonna be phenomenal.
I also
I'm
think
super
too. I know I've said it 800 times that she was in House of Dragon, like the lead actor, the Ally. But I'm excited for that too. She's a phenomenal actor. So at the very
Yeah,
least,
sick.
her performance will hopefully be.
Yeah,
unreal.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
What did we think of the Creature
oh,
Commandos?
One more thing
sorry.
you're gonna love
Yep.
is
sorry. sir.
multiple times he mentioned that Tom King has been in writer's room of not
Yes.
only Supergirl but Green Lantern,
Oh, thank you.
and I was like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Like I got like chills hearing that, because I'm like, finally, like
Yeah.
it's been like the first time, probably not the first time ever, but like even like the Superman set visit when all those Superman writers like showed up and they're all like wearing the shirts and stuff like that. I'm like, I love seeing that.
yeah.
Because like these people who wrote these characters for so many years are like
Yeah.
giving their like thumbs up and stamp of approval on stuff, and like Tom King
That's
is literally
massive
in there
news.
writing stuff with
Yeah.
them.
And just
So-
like the comic book creators getting their props too. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Instead of just having like at the very like, either front or the end of the movie being like, oh, based on,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Supergirl created by.
I think the DC universe has always thrived on that, though. Like just the idea of, you know, giving the flowers to the comic books versus Marvel. I feel like just kind of like it lives in its own world of like, yeah, we were comic books, but these are movies now. This is a movie universe. Like DC's always been like
they kind of had to do that
yeah.
though, because they like, especially like Iron Man, for example, and like even Captain America to an extent, like were lesser known than like X-Men characters. So like those movies created the hype around them in the books now, I would argue.
Like like if you're looking at 2008 when Iron Man came out, like that was a risk. Because Iron Man was not a popular
culture. Who, as a kid, like what shirts did you see around the schoolyard?
Spider-Man,
Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Hulk.
Yeah.
Like it was all like main frontline characters like that. You never saw an Iron Man shirt. You never saw a Captain America shirt. You never like all these other Black Widow shirt. No one knew who Black Widow was. Like only until those movies came
I've
out.
never seen
So
outside
it's kind
a
of
comic book store.
reverse. Yeah, it was like reverse engineer, whereas DC was like, no, like we have the biggest properties in the world, like show them, but they kind of got a little too ahead of themselves and just started spitting stuff out without thinking of quality first. Whereas Marvel was like, we have to make Iron Man good or no one's going to care because no one knows who Iron Man is. Like there's no titular hero that people are familiar with already for them to latch onto in case the movie's shit. They can just be like, well, I still
like
love
that.
Superman, so like I'm gonna, you know what I mean? And I kind of have that too with like the Brandy Routh movie. Like not a great movie, but I still latch onto it from time to time, and I'm like,
Still love it.
I still like it. Yeah,
I still love it. I still love it.
There's a weird like love for it because I'm like,
Yeah.
that's Superman and he catches a plane and
I think that this Superman, the James Gunn Superman film is going to be aesthetically more similar to the Superman Returns than anything else that we've seen, which I don't mind. That fires me up. That kind of like golden age metropolis. Like I'm excited to kind of go back to that or get another version of that, which would be kind of cool.
Speaking of getting fired up for other things too, so the a higher quality version of it was actually the same trailer that leaked ages ago that like people like it was shot on like a phone from 1989. But yeah, we got to see it in full quality now. Fire me up. So
Dan, take it away.
Take it away. So Daredevil. Is it? Are they going with Born Again or what is the actual name of it?
Truth
It's just
Angel.
Truth Angel.
Angel.
The new Daredevil show that's
Dead
now
for the first time.
Truth Angel Mind Freak.
Chris Angel series.
Yes.
gets run over by a tractor.
Walks around just doing street magic in Hell's Kitchen. Ooh, look at this! I'm levitating.
I'm blind.
What the F?
Yeah, I mean, there's a leaked version of the Comic-Con trailer for Daredevil Born Again or whatever it's called coming out. And March 5th, we've got an official time for when it comes out, March 5th of 2025. And honestly, like, I know I've been so cautiously optimistic and, like, scared for this, but I saw this trailer and I'm like, okay, we're
has
back.
the same tone through and
It
through.
does, totally.
It really does. And I can't help but be really excited, but still terrified. But just seeing Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio Kingpin, and Charlie Cox Daredevil just sitting beside each other, and just to remind me of the season 2 scene where they're like jawing at each other in the prison. I just got chills. I got chills, and I was like, "This is so good that we're getting this."
Even the way it's like cut, the way it's shot is very yellow palette, like the Netflix one was. So they're even doing that. Like,
and
even
Foggy
going back
and Karen are back
and
too.
Karen are back.
I jumped. I got so excited. Foggy of all characters. I saw Foggy. I was like,
looks like an absolute stud,
yeah.
I might say. Like, it's weird turnaround for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He's not foggy anymore. It's a clear day now.
Yeah.
Sonny Nelson.
Sonny Nelson.
Nelson chocolate milk.
Yes. The Mandela effect.
Nielsen.
I'm
Nielsen.
really
Nielsen deGrasse Tyson.
I'm genuinely curious,
Nesquik.
like how much of a pickup is gonna be from season 3, because we saw what's his name, Bullseye,
We saw Bullseye in
and we
prison
saw
garb. Yep.
and we saw Punisher.
Punisher as
So
well,
I'm very
which is
curious.
unreal. So the leaked footage that you see, people lost their minds in the theater because someone choke slams Charlie out to the locker, and then it turns around and reveals that it's Punisher
It's Frank.
in full beard, and I was like,
awesome.
It's gonna be a triumphant return, I think. It's
Yeah.
gonna be sick to
and
watch.
we got like a cool new character in the mix too. Actually, there's two. There's one guy in a weird and almost looks like a demon mask.
No, it looked like you know what it looks like is fucking Rorschach. It looked like
Yeah.
Rorschach. I was like,
Yeah.
what is
So
Rorschach
there's
in this?
someone in there, and then there's also White Tiger, I believe, is in it as well. Who's like obviously the dude that looks like he's wearing a tiger mask and suit. Which would be cool. I don't know anything
Giant
about him
tiger.
whatsoever.
I thought there was like I could be wrong, but wasn't there like a Nobu cameo in there as well?
I don't know.
But anyways, yeah.
Anyway, it looks unreal, and they make a point to go out and show like a supercut of Matt just destroying people in hand to hand.
Good.
And then he says the line from No Way Home at the end as well, because like the guy, I don't know who he's with, but he's like,
I'm a really good lawyer.
I'm a really good lawyer. Yeah.
And then there was the one
Catches a
shot that
brick through the
absolutely sent me through was so at season 3 when Kingpin's getting arrested and Daredevil's like perched on that ledge over the city watching. There's a shot of Kingpin and like the exact same shot, Kingpin like smiling in that
Smiling
spot.
over
I
the
was like,
city, yeah.
that's how you fucking do it. Bring it back. Good.
I really hope they don't kill him in this season because it'd be sick. I know I've been saying this literally since Daredevil came out, but I'm like, I want to see Spider-Man interact with Daredevil in some way.
Yeah.
Like Spidey and Daredevil and Spidey and Kingpin more specifically be like nasty. Be like a cool street level.
Be like a Rick and Morty kind of thing, because like Tom Holland is kind of like the Morty of like Spider-Man. Hey there, Daredevil! What are you doing up here? Like, do you need any help with this?
But like,
Oh,
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know,
actually-
Daredevil.
I
There's a
actually
lot
see
of
it.
bad guys that are down there.
Oh, jeez, Charlie.
Jeez, Charlie.
Oh,
Refers to
we
my
Matt.
actual name.
By the
Oh,
actor.
the actor's
jeez, Charlie.
Yeah, I'm
Matthew.
fired up about that. We all speaking of Spider-Man, Tom Holland has talked about the Spidey 4 script for the first time.
Him and Zendaya were bouncing around the room in excitement.
In
as the quote
excitement.
says.
I
And
don't know
he
if that
was like-
excites me or scares the
Well,
shit
he
out
was.
of me.
I mean, so I watched the podcast. Yeah, I was watching that podcast with him today. And he said like it's the first time where he's actually been let into the creative kind of writer's room when he's taken ownership of that character, unlike any of the Spidey actors have.
That's pretty sick,
before.
though. Like,
It's unreal. And he's like, I'll spit ideas out, and like sometimes they'll get shut down, but they're like, oh, like we're actually doing that in this, so we can't do it in here. But like, what if we do this? And like, he's been in that process,
Yeah.
and he's been like he said it in that interview, the same interview I watched. He's like, I was a super fan of the MCU before I came in, and a super fan of Spider-Man. There's even an interview with him when he was like 11 years old, and they were like, if you could play any character, what would you be? And he's like, Spider-Man. He's my favorite. So like he has
How
that
sick
like
is
big,
that?
yeah, it's unreal.
well, dude, it's like when you think about it, he has been Spider-Man for I think like more
When Civil War
movies
came out,
than
2016.
3 core movies,
Three core-
Civil War, Infinity War, and the end of
Endgame.
Endgame, technically.
Yeah.
So that's 7.
So like he's been like Spider-Man. I think he's been Spider-Man like on screen like the most quantity wise,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean in
yeah,
terms
like
of the
6 or 7 movies, and now he's gonna be the first one to get their 4th core movie as well.
Yeah. I saw a quote too that he says like this is the first time he's read a script that he said he truly was worthy of getting told, like
Yeah.
a story truly. That could have just
He's
been
also
all-
been vocal about saying like he wasn't going to do it until it was something that he thought was good.
yeah.
Too.
Even he went into detail today too, just because I was listening in on there. Like they were doing this one shot that required like motion camera and all this stuff, and he was literally like, "Oh, I know this makes me sound difficult, but like Spider-Man wouldn't walk this slow." Like he's that detailed.
Yeah.
Of, like the speed at which he walks. I'm like, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Like that he's that kind of like you were saying, like he's owned that character. And
I just
think
want a
that's
good
pretty
street
dope.
level story this time. You know, like
Boots on the ground.
Yeah, boots on the ground.
Yeah,
Boots
he
on the
doesn't-
ground.
He doesn't
Stake in
swing
the
at all.
boot.
He just runs.
I want to see a stake in the boot.
Yeah, stake in the boot.
Stake in the boot.
Be
Spider-Man
careful with
story.
what you wish for, because then you're gonna get the Batman version of Batman.
Perfect.
Only
That's
boots on
exactly
the
what I
ground,
want.
and he walks into every fight.
That's exactly what I want. Perfect.
No swing, just walking.
Yeah, that's it. Just walk in.
Dun 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 dun. I like that movie. I'm just joking around, just poking fun. Yeah.
What else? I feel like there's one more thing we have to talk
What do
about.
we think about the Creature Commandos trailer?
Yes, that's one thing we completely
To get back to
overshot.
the DC.
I think I said this before we started rolling. I'm not excited is not the word, but I am now interested in it. after hearing him talk about
I
it and seeing the trailer, yeah, like you said, Reese, like it's like Invincible.
I was gonna say
style meets like obscure characters, which is like Gunn's all about the obscure.
Yeah,
and I think if anyone can make something like that work, it's him. So
and for
I'm interested in it.
Watching that trailer, I was a big fan of. Well, I still am, but when I was growing up, I was a huge fan of the really niche Adult Swim stuff that was coming out, like Aqua Teen Hunger Force and the Venture Brothers and Metalocalypse and all that kind of shit. So when I was watching the trailer for Creature Commandos, it kind of gave me like that Adult Swim vibe that like I loved as a kid. And you get that a little bit in the like the Invincible kind of style. You get that with like the Harley Quinn series, which I like, and I think that's actually on Adult Swim as well. But I'm pretty pumped for it.
Yeah.
Again, same as you. I'm not like, oh my god, I want to watch this yesterday, but it's more like, like, oh, like I'm gonna watch it when it comes out. Like I'm excited for it for sure. I wasn't really anticipating being excited for it, but
yeah, now I'm looking forward to seeing it and seeing
100%.
what it has to offer. Like it is officially the first step into the DCU. He did so. Horowitz asked him, like what his rationale is from like cherry picking stuff from DCEU to bring it forward to this. And he said literally what we all thought back then when he made that announcement, which is he took what he liked from his stuff basically and then brought it forward. So he's like anything that is alluded to in like season 2 of Peacemaker and in Creature Commandos is what's canon going forward, and anything that is not alluded to is gone forever kind of
Which
thing.
If you would have told me that like a year or two ago,
Rattled.
I would have been outraged.
Yeah.
where I'm just like,
I'm now
hate the nepotism
accepting the
still,
change.
but
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like tonally, at least when he was talking at Comic-Con, even like you could tell that he was trying to like after these first few entries, he's like just brushing it away.
Yeah.
Because like really Superman is like the start
of it, yeah.
of all the new stuff going forward.
Yeah,
because
like
that
it's gonna be a pillar
to general
moving
audiences at least, like that'll be like, oh, this is a new Superman, therefore every other character is now new.
Yeah.
For the exception of Peacemaker, all the Creature Commandos.
All the more important characters than Superman.
Yeah, of course. So, but hey,
and his name is John C.
What's done is done, and yeah, he's cherry picking. That's all good. Call him a farmer.
Yep.
Anyway, what did you think of absolutely everything we just talked about? Let us know in the comments below. Sorry for our convoluted explanation of the Penguin episode 5. Go watch it. You'll understand why we were so confused, because so many cool things and monumental things happened in that episode. And yeah, DCU stuff. Are you hyped? Are you not hyped? Let us know. Daredevil?
Yeah.
Scared? Excited?
Dune Prophecy?
Yeah.
Dune Prophecy?
Dune
We didn't talk
Prophecy.
about
I was
it
the
at all.
only one that liked the trailer, but that's okay.
No,
Yep.
that's not true. I did like the trailer.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We'll talk about that another day.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Catch us next time, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Love you.